This is a response to LordWhofinX's video, Dangerous Atheism. Okay, but before I get to that, just want to give a hat tip, for Beware the Lizards 42, I want to give her this. And, okay, that's enough of looking at me. I want to get to the point of this video. First, let's answer LordWhofin's question.
A 7-year-old child and a 30-year-old atheist. Both are under a set of extraordinary circumstances together. They're in a plane that has no chance of landing safely from 15,000 feet. There's one parachute. Only one person can survive this crash. Now, going by the atheist's own logic, the atheist must save herself. They have only this life and nothing after. What would be the point in sacrificing themselves to save a child or anybody else?
A person might sacrifice their life for a variety of reasons. One, to be thought well of by others that you leave behind. People spend a lot of time trying to influence the impressions they make on other people. They bathe, they shave, they get expensive plastic surgery. Two, to die heroically rather than pathetically. Most people will die in situations not of their choosing. Often their deaths will be pathetic, in a hospital bed, the slow degeneration of old age, or perhaps some embarrassingly stupid accident. When you have a chance to sacrifice your life for something worthwhile, you get to escape that fate. 3. The instinctual, genetic, empathic response to a child. Walt Disney's animators drew their characters with large eyes and heads in order to subliminally recall a baby in our minds for just that reason. Today, neuroscientists have provided confirmation of Disney's hunches. The point is that there are, contrary to your assertions, LordWhorfin, a lot of reasons a person might sacrifice their life. So the answer you assumed and based all your accusations against atheists on is now demonstrated to be false. Let's move on to another statement you made.
Well, that's called a hive mind, and you've now lowered yourself to the level of an insect.
You have no idea what a hive mind is. You've confused science fiction for science fact. The hive mind of the Borg in the Star Trek TV series and movies is an example. The term used by scientists is more likely to be swarm intelligence, which is more descriptive. Though scientists do borrow terms from science fiction to describe things to the general public. To put it the way you put it, you have now lowered yourself to the level of an insect. It's a completely non sequitur argument. It's like saying if you walk, you've lowered yourself to the level of an insect because insects walk. Having a trait in common with another species does not raise or lower you on some scale. Hive minds do not degrade insects. They uplift them to a higher order. The insects that have hive minds are superior in intelligence and complexity of behavior to insects that do not have much swarm intelligence, like spiders. And because you're a human being, you're already part of a hive mind.
So when it boils down to it, the true atheist cares only about themselves. They only look out for themselves. They will put the safety and well-being of anyone and everyone aside to save themselves, knowing that this is it. When they die, there is just absolutely nothing waiting. No judgment, no reward or punishment. Hitler and Mother Teresa have the same fate. No heaven or hell, just infinite and total oblivion. Keep your guard up around these types. The militant atheist, by their own logic, doesn't care about you.
Think about what you've just said about yourself, LordWhorfin. You've just admitted to the world that if it were not for the promise of an eternal reward in heaven and or a threat of hell, you would not care about anyone but yourself. That's the logic of what you said, because the core difference between us is that belief. By your logic, the only reason you care is because you were ordered to care by your God. So tell me this, if your God suddenly appeared to you while you're on that plane and said that caring about others were no longer going to be rewarded, go ahead and be as selfish as you want. Would you just breathe a sigh of relief and take the parachute? Would your feelings about the child change? In the Bible, God told Abraham to sacrifice his only child, Isaac. What if God asked you to offer one of your kids up as a burnt offering? Would you do it? What if your God ordered you to fly a plane into a building or strap on an explosive vest and become a suicide bomber? would you do it? If you are doing any of those things because you are being rewarded or punished for the behavior, then you're nothing but a frightened puppet being pulled by the strings of fear and hope. You haven't even made a moral judgment. Whatever you do is just about doing what you're told in order to get your reward in heaven. It's all arbitrary, whether good or evil, because God could as easily order you to kill golden calf worshippers as to love one another. God could tell you that you had to wear only special underwear or pretend to drink blood and eat flesh every Sunday, and those silly things would have as much moral weight as saving a child. Kill your child or save a stranger's child. It wouldn't matter as long as God said it. There's another problem with your view that morality only comes by divine decree. Besides the fact that it is arbitrary, you now have to explain why an atheist would do anything moral. You simply say they won't and close your eyes. If your view of atheists as selfish and awful people were true, then why would some of YouTube's more popular militant atheists have helped to organize the charity drive for Doctors Without Borders? Here's a reality check for you. Can you explain why a group of atheists on YouTube would do something like that using your bigoted reasoning? If you can't, then you might have to admit that there is a flaw in your thinking. Maybe you don't understand atheists as well as you pretend you do. And now for the reality check and mate. And beware the lizard's comment section when I challenge you to prove you were willing to give something less than your life to help a child, say by becoming a kidney donor or giving money to some charity. You replied by claiming it was financially and physically impossible for you to do such a thing. And then you claimed you had 2 children whom you give everything you have to. You clearly do not know how pathetic your excuse is. Do you think atheists don't have children and raise families? At best, that only makes you demonstrably equal to the average atheist. And I'm sure it feels like you're giving your kids everything, but you're obviously not giving them the time you spend on YouTube. Your excuse clearly demonstrates that you never even thought about helping any children but your own, and it reveals that you are a lying hypocrite. How can you not have enough money? How much does your internet access cost? Mine isn't free, and you've got the time to use that access to post videos and make lots of stupid comments on other videos. Why should anyone believe that you would die on a crashing plane to save a child that you don't know when you won't even consider helping the children that are already dying today? How is it that one child is worth your life, but a few million aren't worth 10 or 20 bucks a month? Your morality is either irrational or phony or both.